What's up, nerds? Welcome to Nintendo Powblock's expansion pack, our weekly YouTube segment here on Nerds Gone Rogue. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Dirrig. Joining me is Edward, Jesse. Remember to download.
I'm gonna win.
Oh, jeez. You had to get in there before Ed did his woohoo.
I did that to ending.
I know. Well, remember, you can download our podcast on your podcast service of choice, or watch the video version here on Nerds Gone Rogue, or watch it on our website at ngrradio.com. And remember to subscribe, rate, like, comment, all that good stuff wherever you're consuming this content. Today's question comes from Will Marshall, and he says, who do you think would benefit more from a Switch-like device? I think he's meaning like either Xbox or PlayStation. Who do you guys think?
Well, obviously PlayStation, I think, because right now, I mean, yeah, I would love to have a handheld thing for Microsoft, but they've already got laptops, so I mean,
yeah.
If people are gonna play on the go, it's like people are gonna want to play on a laptop, and when you're talking about hardcore gamers, they're gonna want like a decent big screen, and so a laptop's gonna be the best for your hardcore gamers wanting to play on on the go. But so I mean, the PlayStation people, basically Sony, they've had the Vita and stuff like that. I could see them trying to come up with something that's a little bit bigger, or not bigger, but like a little more powerful or whatever. Maybe even something closer to the Switch. I don't know, but I still think I think they're the only ones that are really going to be interested in moving in that direction. Anyways,
yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah, I mean, I think Xbox has a lot of good things going for it, but like you said, a lot of their games are. I mean, they've got good single player campaigns, but a lot of their games are multiplayer focused right now. You look at Halo and Gears, and then upcoming titles like Sea of Thieves and State of Decay and Crackdown are all kind of multiplayer focused, which requires that online connection, where like Sony has a lot of single player experiences that don't really need the internet, and Sony could probably benefit from a Vita 2 or a PlayStation 4 Switch thing. So like you look at their libraries and you look at where certain games are going, and kind of look at it that way. I agree with you. I think Sony would be the more likely candidate to have something like that. But that said, I would love to have a portable Xbox, or like even a Surface tablet, with detachable controllers on the sides or whatever, because like your Xbox Play Anywhere stuff, that stuff could be downloaded to the tablet and play it in some form, or even if it was just indies or first party titles or whatever. Cuphead would be awesome to be playing on Switch right now. But I think Vita tried, and then Nintendo is like what everybody wanted from the Vita, a lot of awesome indie games and smaller titles with the support of first party. And who knows, maybe Sony will try again. Maybe they'll make a Vita 2. Maybe they'll make some sort of portable device that will allow you to remote play, or just take PlayStation 4 games with you. It'll be expensive as crap, but I don't know. It's weird because those two consoles are both pushing like 4K and graphical powerhouses and online stuff, where like the Switch is just this device that's like, we don't need power. We have cool looking games. We have great games right here, couch co-op, single player games. So I don't know. What do you think, Ed?
Neither will benefit. I think Nintendo is benefiting everything, and all the indies are benefiting from Nintendo. Atlas and stuff is benefiting Nintendo. Sony and Microsoft are bad at marketing and making stuff visible. I was talking to Corey about this before we started doing this, and Sony gives up on products very quickly. They throw it out, don't do no marketing, just hey, if it doesn't sell, we won't support it. We won't give it time to build, and if it's not a hit out the gate, screw it. Microsoft, because they are so PC focused, they try to keep their ecosystem to themselves a little bit, but little by little spread it out so that when people do buy their games on their platform, they're allowed to play it on other platforms that will incorporate it. If Microsoft was smart, it would be cool to do their Play Anywhere initiative on Switch. That would benefit Microsoft in that manner. They won't need a device. They already got partnered well with Nintendo. Sony just fails on so many levels of their marketing, their visibility. I don't need another handheld for them. What is another handheld going to do if they're not going to support it? If you are a first person company that's not going to put no cartridges out or no other titles from any of your developers, and you stick in the game with indies and making it all digital, what was the purpose? That doesn't make sense. If you're not going to put faith in a product, you don't need a Switch device. You're not even putting faith in the product that you got now. So what would a Switch-like device do for their system? So I think right now neither one of them would benefit unless Microsoft could get Play Anywhere on Switch. That would be cool. Other than that, Nintendo's going to be the only one that's going to benefit. Japanese third party, and some indies are going to benefit. It's going to make them a profit because they're marketing their games well. They're selling more on Switch, and people know about them. The discussion about video games is going to be about Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree that either way, yeah, no one's gonna compete with Nintendo in that department. But yeah, I just think Sony is really the only one who's interested in it. Like I said, I don't think Microsoft wants to have anything to do with that, because I remember I think it was it before Halo 2 came out that they were talking about having a portable system or something, or maybe it was after Halo 2 came out. They were talking about having a portable system that could play Halo on it and all that stuff, but I just don't think that it's the type of people that they attract. I don't think that if they want that kind of experience, they already have a Switch. So most of those people are gonna just want to play on their laptops, or their, like Corey said, now with tablets getting more and more powerful, we're gonna be able to play Sea of Thieves basically on your tablet. So
yeah, then they say that game.
What's the point?
Didn't they say Sea of Thieves, if you wanted to play on your tablet, it could run at 360p or whatever at 20 frames a second locked or whatever, so you could play on the go, which is
they basically want to make it available for anyone.
Yeah, which is cool, but at the same time, it's who really wants to play that way? It's I kind of agree. I think Sony's tried to compete with Nintendo twice and failed once, and succeeded in a way they probably didn't want to succeed with the PSP because of the homebrewing stuff. But that's just, the PSP sold a ton of units because of that, and it definitely wasn't because of their first party software. Although, to be fair, I do think the best God of War game is on PSP. Ghost of Sparta is a really, really awesome God of War game, but
then that got turned into a game that you can play on PS3 in the collection.
Yeah, and then they like PSP also had the best version of Final Fantasy Tactics with War of the Lions, but I mean that game's also on iPad now, so whatever.
And that Final Fantasy 7 game was good.
Yeah, Crisis Core. Yeah, you can find like you can pretty much find all those games on another PlayStation console somewhere, but like I don't know. I really just, Nintendo has always dominated the handheld market, and they're still doing it.
You know what? It's not even dominated the handheld market. It's been innovative. And Nintendo's innovation is strong enough to keep video games interesting.
Yeah.
Predicting about what system, what craziness or what weirdness is Nintendo gonna make. Whether people see it works or not, Nintendo is always gonna be that innovative. And Sony and Microsoft play it too safe, where it just feels dull.
Yeah, and to your point on innovation, like, people were trying to make console experiences for these handhelds for Sony, whereas like some of the developers, they're like, clearly this is a handheld system. Let's develop something specifically for this system, and we got games like Bravely Default. We've got awesome Fire Emblem games. We've got probably one of the best Zelda games in years in A Link Between Worlds. And, for DS, we got A World Ends With You. And,
Yes.
we got a ton of games for those systems because of the innovation in development. And the dual screen stuff, and Elite Beat Agents is another one. Brain Age, Professor Layton. There's so many games outside of Nintendo that were developed for these systems because they were aiming at what the device was and not trying to feed into 3 or 4 different SKUs of a product. Look, people developing games specifically for Xbox One and PS4 have 5 SKUs to develop for now. You've got the original Xbox One, the S, which is a little bit better, and then you got the Xbox One X, which is a whole lot better, and then you have the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, and it's like you got to make sure all these work on this thing, and this is part of the reason why I don't think we'll get a quote-unquote super Switch or new Switch, whatever, that's upgraded, because people developing games for this console don't have to like develop for 45 different pieces of hardware. They can just be like, look, this is what the Switch is, like these are the standards, and you're just gonna have to figure it out.
Right.
So
and who wants to be patching 100+ gigs? That's more than the game itself.
Yeah.
Like who's really trying to do that?
Yeah. And
like my only thought, like with them, like if they were to upgrade, like have an upgraded Switch, like the only thing I was thinking of when I think about that is just basically having something that would be able to push the same graphics that you're getting on the TV, on the screen, on the handheld itself. Like, kind of like the DS and stuff, like the 3DS and stuff. They just tweaked it and like just upgraded a little bit more, just enough to make games look a little bit better, but not, like I don't think that they would make like a super powered Switch, but I think I could see them like doing that where it wouldn't matter which one you're playing on. It would just be if you want that little bit better looking graphics on the screen on handheld mode, then you could buy that new one, but you still can use your old one. It wouldn't make a difference. It would just only be, specifically for the handheld mode that it would look better.
Yeah.
So I could see that, but that like that's my only idea. Like when I think of like them making a more powerful Switch, I just think of that basically.
Yeah.
But
look, yeah, I think like whatever comes, it's way too early to even be talking about this. Whatever comes after the Switch, like. I think it's going to be a similar thing as the Switch, and all of your Switch games are going to be backwards compatible. And I think, what the Switch does works. It is an amazing piece of tech that, the fact that you can play on your TV and take with you, like that's awesome. And like that's something that Nintendo's been trying to do for a long time in their own way. Whether you're putting the Super Game Boy cartridge in your Super Nintendo, or connecting your Game Boy Advances to your GameCubes, or plugging in that weird thing for Pokemon Coliseum or Pokemon Stadium in your N64 controller. Like, they've been trying to do that for so long, and like this is the amalgamation of that plus what they wanted to do with the Wii U, and it's like they just made this perfect little device that everybody wants. And like, yeah, when I say perfect, I mean like it's what we wanted from Nintendo. Like, it doesn't have a strong online infrastructure, it doesn't have Virtual Console on it yet. Like, there's still things that hopefully are coming that are going to make the system even better in the future. But right now Nintendo is benefiting from its innovation, and like nobody else like can compete. So anyways, that's going to do it for Expansion Pack. Remember, you can email the show at nintendopowblock@gmail.com with the subject line Expansion Pack, and we'll get to your question on this show. Remember to download Nintendo Power Block on your podcast service of choice. Subscribe to the Nerds Gone Rogue YouTube channel right here, and comment and do all that good stuff. Like, subscribe, and share. And until next week, we love you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Woohoo!